I've talked about the good, I've talked about the bad, now it's time to talk about the ugly. So Mount Fuji is a beautiful, gorgeous, from a distance mountain. It has inspired many works of art over hundreds of years, thousands of years, and it is a very important part of Japanese society and Japanese culture. It's on the back of the 1,000 yen note. It is a beautiful mountain when seen from a distance. However, climbing it, it is ugly, ugly, ugly. When you look at the mountain itself as you're going up, there's nothing. Part of this is because it's above the alpine line, and so there's nothing growing above that point, and it's just lava rock for as far as you can see. Oh, lava rock and people. There are 4 trails that go up the mountain, and the Yoshida Trail is the one that's usually used. It's really crowded. As I mentioned in the previous videos, they're working on construction to keep the erosion from climbers above you from being too bad, and so you won't get hit with falling rocks or anything like that, but it's very, very, very crowded. The climb up, there's nothing to see, particularly if you're climbing at night. You turn around and it's just black. Occasionally, if the sky is clear, you can see the stars. As you get higher on the mountain, the lights of the cities below start to come into view, which is very beautiful, but there's nothing to see on the mountain. The view from the top is totally worthwhile, provided it's not cloudy and that you still have enough air to breathe by the time that you get there. The air up top is very, very, very thin. The number of tourists who are climbing the mountain is increasing every year. They started taking the census in 2005, and they started at 300,000 over basically this 2-month period in July and August. That's the climbing season. My guess is the end of August this year will be crazy crowded. The guided tours up the mountains have actually places off the path where they have their people rest, which is not too bad, but if you get caught in the middle of one of the tourist groups, you're kind of stuck at their pace for a little while, which sometimes is fine and sometimes it's a little bit of a pain. There are signs along the bottom of the mountain warning people against trying to do an overnight climb after a full day of work or leisure or whatever. It is a little dangerous. They term this bullet climbing and climbing too fast. It is dangerous. If you get hurt on the side of the mountain, there's no place. If you can make it to a hut, great. But if you get seriously injured or you have a heart issue or something like that, there's a good chance that you could die because you were climbing too fast. In general, I would say almost anyone can climb Mount Fuji. Just take your time and you can do it, no problem. But for the most part, a lot of people are on a timeline. They have only a certain amount of time that they can climb a mountain and have to get back down. And that leads to this thing of bullet climbing. Now they say on some of the city websites in the area that bullet climbing is a new thing. Well, it's not a new thing. Lots of people have done it like that over the years. When I did it in 1998, same kind of deal. I can't advise you to do bullet climbing. It's not a safe thing, and based on how tired I was by the time I got back down, it would have been really easy to turn an ankle or break a leg coming down the path, and there's no help coming down. The down path, there are no huts, there's nothing. And the down path is quite steep as well. It's graded, so it's not too bad, but it's a lot of work. That said, I think I am still going to produce some bullet climbing t-shirts. If you're interested in those, they'll be available mid-August at the Zazzle store down below. The other ugly aspect of the mountain is the amount of garbage that is at the top, which is kind of ironic. Everyone considers Mount Fuji a very important place in Japan, and so I don't understand why it gets treated so poorly. Also, the prefectures that are in charge of it need to do something about the garbage. And it's not a problem that has just cropped up in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It was like that 15 and 20 years ago as well. Actually, it was worse then. If you look at the top of the mountain, you can see plastic bags most of the way down to the 8.5 station. Now, for those of you climbing, absolutely. Everything you take up, absolutely take back down. However, the huts have a responsibility, in my opinion, to make sure that they offer a place for people to get rid of garbage. The huts seem like they're profit businesses. They're not an aspect of the mountain. They're not an aspect of the national park. If you are going to try to make a profit based on people coming up the mountain. You have a responsibility to help keep the mountain clean, and that unfortunately means providing garbage receptacles. That will go a long way in keeping the mountain beautiful-ish and keeping people wanting to come up the mountain and staying at your place. Almost all of the huts charge around 8 or 9,000 yen per night to stay there. If you are planning to do a hard climb to get up to see the top of the mountain, do get in contact with the huts. You can, if you Google climb Mount Fuji, you can find city websites that will take you to the phone numbers that you need to contact the huts. They're not cheap. I don't like the fact that they're for-profit businesses in the national park at those places where there's no other options, but there's no other options, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. I do hope that the huts have to pay the prefectures for the space so that they can use that money to help keep the rest of the mountain clean. I haven't talked about anything below the 5th station because I've never actually done any of that aspect. I've always started from the 5th station and gone, twice, started from the 5th station and gone up. The last point I want to make is Mount Fuji is now a World Heritage Site. It's not just Japan's, it is really everyone's, and it always has been, but everyone needs to pitch in to keep the mountain clean, to keep the mountain beautiful, to make sure people are safe on the way up and down. The 1,000 yen climbing donation is a good idea. In December, the prefectures will meet to try to talk about how much they're going to charge and what the money will be used for, etc. This is a good step. I think that it is way overdue because there are a lot of problems around Mount Fuji. People throw away garbage around the base of the mountain all the time. And you would think, with a cultural site that is as important as Mount Fuji is to the Japanese sense of Japaneseness, that it would be taken better care of, rather than just being used as a very large landfill. Climbing Mount Fuji is a moving experience. You go from the 5th station all the way to the top. If you get the opportunity to see the sunrise or the sunset, that's fantastic. You should do it if it is something that you want to do. The view of Mount Fuji is something everyone should take in. It can be seen from the Skytree in downtown Tokyo if the weather is clear. It's a very important cultural site, and I think that it's not just an aspect of Japan, it's an aspect of Japan that people from outside the country can identify with and can understand the beauty of. While the climb can be done by pretty much anybody, you have to make sure that you are aware of your physical abilities. If you are not in good shape and you're planning to do the mountain, either get in good shape or take 2 or 3 days to climb the mountain. Getting acclimated to the lack of air at the top takes a long time. Don't push. If you push, you might get hurt. If you get hurt on the mountain, there's not a whole lot of ways you can be helped. You also have to remember that once you're at the top, congratulations, you made it to the top, but you're only halfway. Down can be just as hard. Mount Fuji is an experience that I am glad that I have had. I don't know that I needed to do it twice. The old saying, if you climb Mount Fuji once, it makes you wise. If you climb Mount Fuji twice, it makes you a fool. There's some truth to that. That said, though, I did meet a young lady who was on her 5th climb at the top, so I don't know. She said Mount Fuji just called to her. I said, you should change your number. Mount Fuji is an awesome, excellent experience. There are great points. Getting up the mountain really challenges you, makes you think about who you are. Hopefully this series of videos were able to give you a little bit of extra information, and so if you decide to go ahead and climb the mountain, put your climbing date in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in things about Japan. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on Tuesday, I think, with more culture and superstition.